Hey everybody, Pejman Gadimi here, founder of Secret Entourage, and today again we are back talking a little bit about these different components of life that we've been seeing all over the news, the media, but no one's really talking about with the right perspective. So joining me again today is Joseph Martin, JT, or also known as JT, the man, the legend, the myth behind the camera usually. He's here today again because I wanted to actually talk to someone who did not actually vote in the last year. That's right. See how I put him on the spot? He's like, you son of a bitch.
I did not vote.
He did not vote in the last election. And this is an important conversation because I've had a lot of conversations with young people, and a lot of them tell me, why vote? It doesn't matter anyways. The elections are rigged, the places are rigged, doesn't matter who you vote for, it's never gonna go your way anyways. So what is the point of voting? And so I wanted to bring him on to talk about what people really misunderstand about democracy and also what they misunderstand about the electoral system. And I'm not going to talk today about the electoral college and the popular vote and all that stuff. We're going to instead talk about the psychology and the perspective of why these things matter. So why didn't you vote? I'm just curious. How old are you?
22.
22 years old. Have you ever voted?
I've never voted before.
Okay, how long have you been a citizen? No, like you were born a citizen,
born,
right?
yeah,
Okay, so you're born here.
Yeah.
And you've never exercised your right to vote.
Never.
Why?
Just like what
You're
brought
laughing.
up,
Why are you
dude.
laughing?
Because I just don't, I don't know, man. I don't like,
Are you ashamed of not voting?
I'm not ashamed of it, to be
Okay,
completely honest.
so let's have a candid conversation.
yeah.
You're not ashamed of not
I'm not
voting.
ashamed
I
of
think
not
it's that
voting.
you should be extremely ashamed
I
of
know
yourself.
you do.
But let's talk about
every older person.
right.
does.
So let's talk about why you, as a younger person, you're much younger than me. You're
dude,
like 15 years
honestly, mine
younger
goes
than me.
along with what everybody else my age
Which
thinks.
is what?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't count. It's rigged. Why am I going to put my energy into something that I feel is already fucked as it is? Like,
So why is
feel
it fucked? Like meaning like when you look at government, we look
I
at
don't
government very differently.
I don't watch the news. I don't listen to I used to.
But why?
It's because it eats at my energy, man.
So it's toxic. I agree.
It's
I
toxic, for
completely
sure.
agree. All news channels are toxic. All
There's
government is toxic.
There's so much propaganda. It's all negative. It's all bullshit. Like when you never see anything good about it. I hate it, dude. I honestly hate it.
So listen, I agree with you. I
Yeah.
think it's extremely toxic. I think it's extremely poorly positioned. I think politicians are all old and should all be replaced with fucking young people because they're all worthless, like 80-year-old people that don't work anymore, right?
Like they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're dying dinosaurs,
They
and
don't
they're
care.
operating the way we should have operated 100 years ago. It's like the other video we did on the school system. It's like operating like 50 years ago, you know? So, but here's something that my argument to young people, right, is you don't vote, fair enough. It's
Right.
toxic, fair enough. It's rigged, maybe. I think there is some element to that, but I personally don't believe it's like fully rigged, you know, where like there is no outcome choice. But I do believe there's some play or people play games and shit with that.
Yeah.
Fine. But the argument is this then. You still have to survive and work in a society.
For sure, yeah.
You pay taxes,
Yeah.
correct? Like at the end of the year, if you make money,
Unfortunately,
yeah. But as a young kid that has his own business, you're still paying taxes, even if you're trying to avoid taxes or say, I have these legal ways of paying less taxes or writing stuff up.
I don't think I run from the government or politics.
No,
I
but
just
you're
don't-
but
I
you're
just
forced to
don't-
pay taxes, right?
Yeah. So
You're forced to walk on.
I do the bare minimum.
But no, but you're
like-
forced to drive on the roads, aren't you not?
Am I forced to?
Not meaning
I mean,
like,
I choose to.
do you not like having clean roads or having
Well,
like the
Of
roads
course,
that
yeah.
aren't damaged
But-
that
but
destroy your
see,
BMW?
but I guess with being 22 years old or anybody that's like a millennial or in my generation feels as if like whether we care about that shit or not, whether we vote or not, it's still gonna happen anyways.
So well, right, but here's the argument: how much money you pay in taxes, that doesn't just happen. You pay taxes no matter
Right,
what,
yeah.
but how and where you pay taxes,
Right.
does that not matter to you?
It does, but it's gonna to me it's like it's gonna happen anyway, so I just kind of do what I have to do. And
Okay, so what do you
like,
feel? What do you think about, like, for example, that an actual governing body has the right to tell women what they should do with their bodies? Like, how do you feel about that? I'm just curious. I
I think that's fucked up.
okay, so you think that's fucked up, but you don't believe that you as a man, right, who's dating a girl that you care for, right, like you like, you believe that that it's okay for the government to tell her, like, let's say, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but let's say your girlfriend gets raped tomorrow and like she's traveling overseas, she gets raped, she comes back here and she says, listen, I'm pregnant, I got raped, I got beaten, whatever, but I'm raped now.
Okay.
And you're saying it's okay for the government to say, hey, you can't have an abortion.
No, I mean, okay, so this is where I draw the fine line.
Okay, but yet you're not voting.
Well, the fine line to me is like anything that goes against free will.
Right, but what I'm
Is
saying is,
different
right,
than,
but
like-
who controls
like
free will for
Clean
a...
roads, like, you know what I mean? Like,
But my argument is just that. Like, everybody has a point or something that impacts them.
Okay, so say like the government says girls can't get abortions.
Right.
You can still get an abortion anyways. The government says you can't rob a fucking bank. But
No,
people do it
well,
anyways.
yeah, but
It's
here's the
like-
thing. Well, no, but I agree with you.
I think we live in a stage of like rebelliousness, and we don't really live within the government. We all have like
So
our own little
no,
world,
so
and we
I
live
agree
within
with
that.
you. I'm not
That's why we
questioning.
don't
I'm not
vote.
questioning that. I'm not questioning that. You have enough money. You have parents. You have support. You're a person that's not lost, confused by yourself.
Well,
If God forbid something happens,
seems
your
like.
girlfriend, you would take her somewhere. You would get it done, and
Yeah.
it costs money. But you have to understand that some people don't even have the money to leave their state.
Right.
And imagine if your girlfriend was one of these people and she didn't have money to leave her state and this happened to her. What I'm saying is you don't feel a sense of social responsibility, not to choose that abortions are right or not. We're not having that discussion yet.
Yeah.
We'll have that somewhere else. But you don't feel a sense of responsibility that you as a human being have at least to make an effort to put someone in charge of the governing body of a country, a state, a county, whatever it is, that has at least similar principles or values as you? Because the argument is this: if the good people aren't voting, that have common sense, are educated,
Right. People aren't getting picked.
right?
But-
Well, no, but then the bad people are voting. The people who are uneducated, the people who don't understand how the world works,
But
the
we
people who
feel-
don't
we
go.
feel like our vote does not matter.
But it does, fine. It doesn't matter maybe in an election, but what I'm saying is not voting definitely doesn't matter. Voting may not matter. Maybe it doesn't like get you the person elected or what it is, but it doesn't one. It's like saying I won't start a business because I'm pretty sure I'm never going to be successful. You know that like 90% of kids don't start businesses because they're afraid of failure. But not starting, doesn't that guarantee that someone will not find success?
For sure.
But starting or at least trying, even if their try is forfeit or stupid or it's some
I
econ
guess when
shit.
you're like comfortable in your life and everything just seems like it's okay, you don't really care about the people that are like
Right, no,
that
I
it's
agree with-
actually gonna affect.
I agree with
so
you.
So you don't like go out of your way to be like, okay, I'm gonna go vote because this is gonna change life for somebody
Well,
else
listen.
other than me.
Thank you, because that's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
just-
but
that's how I
right,
feel
but
about it.
that's
Maybe
my
it's
exact
fucked up.
argument. It is fucked up.
It is okay. Yeah.
It is fucked up because you have to think that you like it or not, you live in a country with people. And look, I hate most people. Like I don't like living around people. I live in a big ass house where I don't have people next to me, so I don't have to deal with people. I get that. I'm not arguing that people are great and we should all be a love, community and sing Zimbabwe together and shit. What I'm saying is that by the time you realize something impacted you enough as a human that you're like, oh, this is so important to me and I need to go vote on this, you already have allowed the garbage of the world to vote themselves into power.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, look, black crime doesn't impact me. Like I'm a brown guy, but I don't get pulled over by, I drive a Lamborghini, I don't get pulled over by a cop because I'm dark and they're like, hey, why do you have that car, right? I don't get that.
Yeah.
Meaning that's not, maybe it's because of the city I live, but it is a real problem in this country.
Yeah.
And when we allow these states to elect people that represent them who share these values, that it's okay to shoot black people or that we're gonna let cops get away with it when they do it because as a whole, this county is not really like friendly to black people.
Right.
It doesn't impact us here all the way on this side of the world, or where we are because it's not my problem, right? Until one day, you get into a place where your best friend is shot.
Yeah. I understand. What
And then you get to a place where you go, oh, well, now I'm all about I'm against violence and this.
Right.
But then you get into a system that's fortified around what you refuse to even learn about because it was draining, toxic, it was hard.
I understand what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is most businesses are always built on the idea that it's always the pain of the one that creates a business that helps the world, But why would you allow yourself to get into a position where you're in pain as a young person, to get into a position where you say, I'm powerless now, I can't do anything, only to be in a position then to then be like, I want this to change, and there's so much resistance in front of me where all I could have done is at least try to vote for people that I believed shared common values. And look, this is an argument of who you should have voted for. This is an argument of which president is the better party. What I'm saying is if people start voting, then the systems shift. But what they don't realize is to give you context for all you young people watching that don't seem to understand this. If you vote for a president, you're not voting for or against abortion as an example. But what you're voting for is the people he's going to put in place that share his values on the same topic. Yeah. Now, here's the really fucked up part. You may not know this, and a lot of people may not know this. When you appoint a president, that's like 4 years of hell, 8 years of hell for one party, and the other party is like whatever, and everybody fights everybody, right? Very toxic. But the people they appoint, some of those positions are lifetime positions. Yeah. And they're putting judges in places who share this whole anti-woman right thing and this and that. And they're going to be on that bench for 100 years. Yeah. So you got to consider that's not okay. You know what I mean? Like that the fact that you're not willing to look at it should cost someone else everything they believe in. Now, if you say, listen, I've looked at it, I've studied it, and I still believe this, that's a personal belief, right? Some of us believe in religion more than we believe in this, and we're going to make decisions based on our belief, you know? Right. But we have to understand that most people, and this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because most people vote so selfishly that they don't realize how they're being played. And I'll give you a good example. We're going to do a different video on this, guys, so we're not going to get into this. But how about gun rights, gun laws, right? Every single person in the country agrees that they want gun laws. Now, that doesn't mean like gun reform, more or less guns. We're saying they want gun laws. Some parties say stricter, some parties say less, more open, etc. We know historically that every Democratic president has led to more gun sales than any other president, partly because people are afraid they're going to take their guns. And then Republican presidents have led to more open sense in gun control, but that leads to less gun sales because no one's in a rush to buy a gun. They don't think. Now, did you know, however, that the NRA supports both sides every year? They pay massive amounts of money to both parties to guarantee their survival of their ability to win. So the question becomes this. You think they're going to take your guns, so you go vote on gun rights. But they're playing both parties, so they're never going to take your guns away anyways. Get it? So you go, I'm willing to give up all my values about abortion, about climate change, about this, as long as someone doesn't take my guns away, right? But no one is ever going to take your guns away because they're funding both parties to make sure nobody does. Right. So what ends up happening is, you see, the media does a good job at brainwashing people that it's like if you believe in this, you go here. If you believe in that, you go here. But they prevent people from seeing the whole picture. Right. And what you just said is the exact reason a lot of people watching this are going to be voting. They vote on what's important to them. And unfortunately, most things don't appeal to them. They just don't. Yeah, they just don't. Like if you don't own a gun, you don't care about gun rights.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But if you have a child, and schools are getting shut up, and someone in a school next to your child's school got caught up, then you care. But here's the argument here: in 10 years, when you have kids, if you have kids, and your kid goes to that school, and he comes home one day and goes, "Oh, a cop brought me home because they shut up my school." And you're going to be like, this is unacceptable, I'm going there to fight. You're going to realize that the decisions you didn't make today impacted everything that happened 10 years ago. And you're going to go, I'm going to petition against this, I'm going to fight.
It's going to be too late.
Everybody on that panel is already bought by the people that you refuse to go vote for.
Yeah, I get it.
So what I'm saying is that the basic principle of a democracy is that the majority of people will vote in the direction of what a country should, or the values in its stick. Now, what a real democracy is, right? I understand, 100% understand that there are different values for different places, and some people get more votes than others, and there's lobbying, there's influence. We're not talking about how screwed the electoral college is. We're talking about the reality of the accountability on the human being to go out there and vote. Because if you don't play your part in the system, and other people don't play, the people that know how to play the system are playing their parts. And the people that could tilt the system are sitting at home saying, that doesn't matter to me. That's not my problem. But then when taxes go up, boom. I'll give you a really, really good example of, if we narrow this down even smaller, and then we'll let this topic go because we can talk about this for hours. Yeah. In my community here, right here in Delray Beach, we didn't have a big guardhouse. We had a small guardhouse. And we have a very rich neighborhood, but the guardhouse was very minimal and didn't really look the part for the neighborhood. The cost of the guardhouse was almost $1 million to build it, between the landscaping, this and that. And everybody every year complained that we didn't have a guardhouse. So they were like, we need a better guardhouse. It needs to represent us. We need better employees here that can represent the community. Everybody agreed. There was like 100% like in agreement that we needed this, right? When they built the guardhouse, obviously guardhouses don't get built for free. The guy that built it did a great job. He built a beautiful guardhouse. It's great. It's not perfect yet. It's still in the works, whatever. But it's great. Compared to what we have, it's like night and day. The bill came due, right? And we don't have that many houses in the neighborhood. So he said, hey, does everybody want to chip in $5,000 so we get this done? Or you want your HOA to go up like pretty much $150 a month? The thing was, a lot of people revolted. And we're like, oh, I don't think we should pay. This should be free. I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. But, somehow everybody complained about it. But when the problem got solved, nobody wanted to pay for it, right? But here was the really bad part that was really sad. Everybody that was for it and was willing to pay wasn't there for the vote, to vote that they were okay to implement it into their HOA. Like, think about it. Like, the guy put in all this work. He devoted like a year of his life to build this for us. He literally put $1 million, literally put $100K out of his own pocket because he couldn't get the budget approved on time. And the people that complained, they were told to show up one day to make a vote that if they wanted to pay a one-time fee or to put in the HOA fee, or how did they want to handle it. Because it was a legit democracy. There's only 50 homes in this neighborhood, so everybody, it's 50 people. It's not like we're not talking about 10,000 people. Right. And everybody was aware. They all got 14 emails. They responded. They were all angry, happy about the process, so they were debating it. But one day, they had to show up to vote. They couldn't even get half the community there to vote. And this is the part that bothers me. The people that were there were the ones complaining. Get it? The people that had agreed and were willing to pay wouldn't show up to say, I vote yes, like I will pay this. Right. I complained, you delivered, you know what? Out of respect, I'm going to show up and I'm voting to do that. And the discussion would have been over. Yeah. But now the discussion is now 3 months old. Get it? And that's not getting funded the right way. Right. So try to understand that, what I'm trying to say is that it's because people, it doesn't impact them anymore. They have the guardhouse now, they don't have to vote.
Right. They don't care about it now.
Well, they don't have the respect towards it anymore, right? So what I'm saying is when we sit in this country, we're in the United States now for people that are watching this abroad, and we're saying we're not worried about F-18s flying on top of here, and we have the world's greatest military and this and that. We don't care about that. Get it? But we care about our taxes going up because they impact us. Yeah. But you haven't lived in a country where F-18s are flying over you, and you actually don't know if it's going to drop something on that building or if it's your friend, Yeah. Like if you see an F-18 in the sky, you're like, oh yeah, that's our plane. Wow, what a beautiful plane. Yeah. Go America.
That's true.
But you're not thinking hey, what if that guy suddenly says, I don't love America. I'm going to drop a missile on that neighborhood over there because, my sister's cheating husband lives there. Yeah. You don't think that. That doesn't even cross your mind, right? You don't even think that the plane in the sky is a Russian plane. You don't even think about that, right? At all. It doesn't, not 1 second. I've never seen someone go, oh man, could that be an enemy plane? What if that's flying there? But what I'm trying to say is just that. Nobody's paying attention because they haven't seen the other side of the coin. And when I lived in Iran, we saw planes flying up. And you didn't know if that was your friend or ally. So when you saw a plane, you were hiding in a basement. Yeah. Because you were like, maybe my building's not there. And you know what? One day, the building next to mine wasn't there. The whole building was gone. That's crazy, bro. Yeah, I was 3 years old. And what I'm saying is people don't realize that that's what they're voting for. Get it? They think they're voting for CNN or Fox. Yeah. You're voting for that you don't have to question that. And you're voting for things that may not impact you, but they're impacting you indirectly. And when you choose to ignore a vote, you're disrespecting your own freedom. You're disrespecting yourself because you're saying that later, when I need it, I'll have to deal with it then. Yeah. So what are you going to do this election season? You better fucking vote. I better find you. I'm going to drag you. I'm going to put a lasso in his head. They're going to be like, sir, this is a freedom thing. People are. I'm going to be like, this guy is going to vote. I don't care what he votes for. He's voting here. And here's his card, here's his ID.
I guess it's mainly because, and we probably have to wrap this up because we're probably getting to like the mark, but I guess it's mainly what I said before about how we just feel like it doesn't impact us, but also because we didn't learn about politics in school, so like we don't know the importance of it. All we see is like the news, so it drives us away from it. There's nothing that pulls us into it.
Right, but
So
maybe
it's
it's
like,
time to take some
Well, for
self-accountability,
sure,
right?
but we need people to look up to be like, hey, look, this is why you need to be voting.
Right, but what I'm
People that
saying
we
is,
actually-
right, but you need to make that choice.
Yeah.
You need to say that you can educate yourself on a vote and exercise your right, even if you don't understand everything.
Right.
You're going to make an effort to learn. You know how many people vote because they're told
Right,
to
I'm
vote?
gonna vote, dude.
All right, you better vote.
Yeah, I'll vote.
Anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this heated conversation about voting. If you are in the United States, please vote. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. Like, go out there, vote, get educated on the process. Don't trust Fox and CNN. Watch and learn on your own. Make and gain awareness and deductive reasoning and come up with who you want to vote for, but just vote. Like, go out there and make a change and vote. Because if you don't vote, the other guy that's not supposed to vote, the guy you don't like, that has bad reasoning, bad mentality, is doing everything you don't want the country to become, he's voting because he believes it's his right. And you need to believe it's your right too. So if you agree, disagree, don't agree with any of these topics, disagree with some of these heated conversations we've had, put it in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. Again, a big thank you to JT for coming on the show. Again, good conversation with someone of a different perspective that's, of course, a lot younger. And, of course, for all of you, make sure you subscribe, like, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.